and you following the commandments, you putting on faith, you putting on the shoes of the gospel of peace, the helmet of salvation, you fighting with the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of God, according to Ephesians 6:17. The Lord is going to send that army to back you up, which is the angels, right? That's how you back yourself up from voodoo, from people wishing harm and praying harm against you and trying to curse you, you know, or if it's the powers that be. If you following these commandments, the Lord won't let you be overthrown. Shalom, shalom. Brother Shammai representing the sons of God. I want to give all praises to the Most High Yahweh through Yahweh Shai. Today I want to go over spiritual warfare. What do our people have to do so that we could defend ourselves against spiritual wickedness in high places, demons, you know, sin, and all these different things that we going through? How could we protect ourselves from the wicked powers that be? You know, what do we have to do so that we could be saved in the end? You know, when you in this truth, you basically got to be in a spiritual militant mindset, a military mindset. You got to have armor, you got to have soldiers, and you got to lead the battle. So let's start off with the book of Ephesians, chapter 6. And I want Ephesians chapter 6. I'm going to give verse 12. So the Lord said through Paul, he says, "For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places." So we not fighting no physical fight. This fight that we fighting is not physical. We not running up to people, beating them up, pulling out, you know, the Glock and shooting people. That's not what this war is about. The Lord said it's spiritual. We not wrestling against flesh and blood. It's spiritual. It says against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. So what do you need so that you could beat this spiritual wickedness that's in high places? So the Lord said through Paul right here in verse 13, "Wherefore, take unto you the whole armor of God, that you may be able to withstand in the evil day." So that evil day is when you getting tried in the fire, you know, like you in a furnace. You that gold that's tried in the fire. That's the evil day. It could be Jacob's trouble. It could be the last days, the end, World War III. Whatever it is, whatever that evil day is for you, you know, you got to withstand having that whole armor of God. You know, at the end, ultimately, it's going to be the last days, the day of judgment. It says, "Take unto you the whole armor of God, that you may be able to withstand in the evil day, and having done all to stand. Stand therefore, having your loins girt about with truth." You have to have your loins girt about with truth. What is truth? The word of the Most High God is the truth. Let's get that real quick. All right, let me show y'all that the word of God is the truth. This is the book of Psalm, chapter 119, and verse 142. So it says, "Thy righteousness is an everlasting righteousness, and thy law is the truth." So that's what you're going to be wearing on your loins. That's going to be covering up your loins in this spiritual military armory that you have on. You have the truth. That's what you're going to have on right there. Right? So it says, your loins girt about, we're back at verse 14, Ephesians 6:14. "Stand therefore, having your loins girt about with truth, and having on the breastplate of righteousness." So righteousness is what you're going to have on right here. You're going to have your loins girt about with truth, and you're going to have a breastplate on of righteousness. Your breastplate, it block your heart. That block all right here, your vital organs. That's that righteousness. You're going to be wearing the truth, and you're going to have that righteousness blocking all your main essential, you know, organs spiritually. It says, "And your feet shod with the preparation of the gospel of peace." So that's your walk. That's spiritually your walk. The gospel of peace. That's what you walking in. It says, above all, taking the shield of faith, wherewith you shall be able to quench all the fiery darts of the wicked. So why do you need faith? What do you need faith for in the spirit? What is that for? What is your faith for? Right? Let's go to Hebrews real quick. I want the book of Hebrews chapter 11. In verse 1. It says, now faith is the substance of things hoped for. Right? So faith is the substance of things hoped for. You hoping for something to come. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. So let's see what the reason you need faith is. It says, for by it the elders obtain a good report. Through faith we understand that the worlds were framed by the word of the Most High Yahweh, so that things which are seen are not made of things which do appear. Right? You see that? So through faith is how we get that good report, because we hoping that we get salvation in the end. That's the faith, the patience of the saints. Right? So let's go back to Ephesians chapter 6 and verse 16. It says, taking the shield of faith, wherewith you shall be able to quench all the fiery darts of the wicked. So the wicked, they're going to be trying to come up with things. They're going to come up with wicked doctrines, wicked beliefs. They're going to tell you that the laws is done away with. They're going to tell you all these things. They're going to try to come up with things to make your faith wither. But the faith that you have is your shield. That's what's covering you from falling victim to those wicked doctrines, those wicked heresies and things that they trying to do to break down the understanding of the Israelites, the truth. They try to break down your faith. So you have the faith of being an Israelite, coming to these laws, statutes, and commandments of the Lord, and you blocking all these fiery darts of the wicked, which is doctrines, wicked ways, breaking the commandments, and all these other things that fall under that umbrella. It says, and take the helmet of salvation and the sword of the Spirit. So that's that sword that the Lord is talking about right there. He's talking about the sword of the Spirit. It's not a physical sword you pulling out and you chopping people up with. It's a spiritual sword. He says, praying, Salakia, verse 17, take the helmet of salvation and the sword of the Spirit. So that's a spiritual sword. It's not a real physical sword. And salvation, what is salvation? Let's look that up real quick. Let's look up salvation. Salvation definition. Why do we need salvation? And why do we have to use the sword to get that salvation and obtain that salvation? Salvation, the deliverance of humankind from such fundamental or negative disabling conditions. So, of course, we know it's not humankind. We know it's the Israelites. So the Israelites want salvation so that they could be delivered from negative and disabling conditions and suffering and evil, right? So us doing that, we're going to use the sword and that helmet of salvation. So it says, Salakia, back to Ephesians 6 and 17. Take the helmet of salvation and the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of the Most High. So that sword of the Spirit is the word of the Most High, right? So let's go to the book of Philippians. I want the book of Philippians, chapter 2. I want verse 12. This is the book of Philippians, chapter 2 and verse 12. Wherefore, my beloved, as ye have always obeyed, not as in my presence only, but now much more in my absence, work out your own salvation with fear and trembling. So you got to work out your own salvation. You know, you got to have that militant spiritual armament on, and you got to have your army behind you, and you got to lead this battle, and you got to work out your own salvation, your own saving, so that you could be saved in the end through through the scriptures and through following the commandments of the Lord, right? I want to go to an example where Yahushua, which is the Son of the Most High God, who the world called Jesus. I want to go to an example where he actually used spiritual warfare, or he spoke on spiritual warfare. So this is the book of Matthew chapter 26, and I'm going to start at verse 51. So this is the Lord speaking on spiritual warfare. It says, and behold, one of them which were with Yahushua stretched out his hand and drew his sword. So one of the apostles, or one of the disciples, he was with Yahushua when he was about to be delivered up. And he drew out his sword. He said, what the hell y'all doing with my Lord? He drew out the sword. It says, and behold, one of them which were with Yahushua stretched out his hand and drew his sword and stroke a servant of the high priest and smote off his ear. So he took the sword out and he cut off bro's ear. He cut his ear off. Then said Yahushua unto him, put up again thy sword, because remember, the Lord just told us that this battle isn't a physical battle. It's spiritual. He says, put up again thy sword into his place, for all they that take the sword shall perish with the sword. Thinkest thou that I cannot now pray unto my Father? So he was like, don't you know that I could pray to my Father? And he shall presently give me more than 12 legions of angels. He could give him 12 legions of angels to protect him. He don't need no physical weapon to protect him. He could use the angels of the Most High God to protect him, right? So prayer, fasting, you know, those are the type of things that we need to do so that we could battle against the spiritual wickedness in high places, demons, even physical people, that them demons manifesting themselves in the physical. We could fight against that through fasting and praying in the word of the Lord. So it says, thinkest thou, verse 53, Matthew 26 and verse 53, thinkest thou that I cannot now pray to my Father, and he shall presently give me more than 12 legions of angels? So he could have just prayed to the Lord. He said, hey, put your sword up. I could have prayed to the Father, and he could have gave me all these angels to protect me. This battle it's not a physical battle. Spiritual warfare. That's what it is. So we can't think carnally and think, you know, that weapons are going to do the job, because it's not, you know. So now I want to go to the book of Job, chapter 9 and verse 24, you know, because the Lord, like we said, going back to the first point, the Lord, he told us that this fight is not physical. You know, we against principalities and the rulers of the darkness of this world, you know, and the rulers of the earth is the Edomites. The Lord told us through Moses in Genesis. So the Lord told us through Moses in Genesis that our forefather blessed Esau with the sword. So what do you think us bringing a sword out on Esau is going to do? You know, they got nuclear bombs. They got things we ain't never heard of. You know, so that's not going to really deliver us. It might deliver you from somebody on the street, but it ain't going to deliver you from, you know, Esau and the powers that be. So this is the book of Job, chapter 9 and verse 24. The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covereth the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he? So we know the rulers of the earth right now are the Edomites. That's the nation that the Lord is using to bring the end. You know, so while they are in rulership, while they are bringing wickedness on the earth, wicked doctrines, they trying to degrade the truth and make it not what it is, you know, tell us that we not the Israelites. While they doing all that, we using these words in this book to show us that we are on the right path. We are doing what we supposed to do, you know, and while we in these commandments, the Lord is going to guide our steps and protect our way. Let's go back to the New Testament. Let me get 2 Corinthians real quick. I want 2 Corinthians chapter 10. So this is the book of 2 Corinthians chapter 10. And I want verse 3. And it says, for though we walk in the flesh, so even though we are in this physical body, we in the flesh. For though we walk in the flesh, we do not war after the flesh. It's not no physical thing that we do. Everything before it was in the physical, it manifested itself. Before it manifested itself in the physical, it was in the spiritual first. So it said, for though we walk in the flesh, we do not war after the flesh. For the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty through Yahweh to the pulling down of strongholds, casting down imaginations and every high thing that exalted itself against the knowledge of God, and bringing into captivity every thought to the obedience of Yahushua. You know, so that's what it is right there. That's what we doing right there. You know, the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but we want that spiritual armament You know, that spiritual weaponry from the Most High God, which is this book, this word, this truth, following the commandments. That's what's going to, you know, gird you up in everything that you need so that you could protect yourself. And the Lord is going to guide your steps, and he going to give you that army that you need, which is the angels of the Lord. That's what's going to protect you. You know, because these rulers of this earth, they trying to push an agenda to where it's not forced. You know, they want you to be born into a world of iniquity. You know, so when you come into this world out the womb, fresh out the womb, you just fall in line with their wickedness. But, you know, that's not what the Lord wants. America ain't the first time that they use this spiritual wickedness in high places with the rulers of this earth. This is not the first time they did that. You know, they did this many times in this book. You know, let's go to the book of Genesis and go into one of them points. It's the book of Genesis, chapter 11, and I want to start at verse 1. Right? So this Babylonian spirit that's out right now, this not the first time. So this Genesis 11 and 1. And the whole earth was of one language and of one speech. So that's what these rulers of the earth want. They want everybody to just conform to their ways under one world order. That's what they want. And this is not the first time that this has happened. It's happened many times in the scriptures. So the whole earth was of one language and of one speech. So they want everybody to speak the same thing and do the same thing. The ABC community, they want everybody to come and you could just be what you want and be fluid and gender fluid and transracial and all that. That's what they want. So it says the whole earth was of one language and of one speech. And it came to pass, as they journeyed from the east, that they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and they dwelt there. And they said one to another, go to let us make brick and burn them thoroughly. So they wanted to build a foundation not of the Most High God. They wanted to build their foundation and gird themselves up with their own spiritual armament, and, you know, in the thought that they could make a name for themselves. So it says, let us make brick and burn them thoroughly. And they had brick for stone, and slime they had for mortar. Verse 4, and they said, go to let us build us a city and a tower whose top may reach unto heaven, and let us make us a name, lest we be scattered abroad upon the face of the whole earth. So the Most High God, he put his name in this earth. He put his name in this earth because he created the earth. So why are these heathen and why are these people coming together to try to make a name for themselves? You're supposed to gird yourself up and cover yourself with the feathers of the Lord and with this book and with this truth to defend yourself against anything. Don't ever try to make a name for yourself and use pride to try to build your own foundation. The foundation should be on the Most High God through Yahushua. So it says, and the Lord came down to see the city and the tower which the children of men builded. And the Lord said, behold, the people is one. So he said, man, these people came together in wickedness. These rulers and the powers that be, they made it to where everybody conformed to their ways. You know, the spiritual wickedness in high places and the dark rulers of the earth came together to where everybody was on one accord. You know, and that's what we're battling against right now. We battling against this same spirit where they try to make themselves and everybody in the earth come on one accord. And we fighting against that because the way that they building and the foundation that they building is not of righteousness. They want people to do whatever they want. You could be who you want to be, move how you want to move. And that's totally opposite from what the Most High God ordained the earth to be. So it says, and the Lord said, behold, the people is one, and they have all one language, and they begin to, and this they begin to do. He like, dang, this what they begin to do when everybody come together. And that's what we doing here in America. All languages, nations, kindreds, tongues, people from all over the world are coming and pushing their way to America, and they doing wicked things. Again, it says, and this they begin to do, and now nothing will be restrained from them which they have imagined to do. Because remember, once multiple people agree on the same thing, they damn near could do whatever they want. So the Lord like, dang, they come together and they doing this. Everything they imagine, they could damn near do. So it says, go to let us go down, and therefore confound their language, that they may not understand one another's speech. So the Lord scattered them abroad from thence upon the face of all the earth, and they left off to build the city. Right? So they stopped doing that. The Lord confounded all the languages and split everything up. And that's why the Lord was always like that. He wanted the children of Israel to, or the sons of God, to be you know, separate from everybody else. They were separate from everybody else, you know. So let's go to another account real quick before we get back to the point of spiritual warfare. I want the book of Daniel, chapter 3. And I'm going to start at verse 2. Then Nebuchadnezzar the king sent to gather together the princes, the governors, and the captains, the judges, the treasurers, the counselors, the sheriffs, all the rulers of the provinces to come to the dedication of the image which Nebuchadnezzar the king has set up. So whatever your occupation is, or whatever your level in society was, nobody was counted out. Everybody had to come and show dedication to this idol that Nebuchadnezzar set up. So he tried to build his foundation where everybody did the same thing that we read in Genesis, but he tried to build his foundation on idol worship. We supposed to be worshiping the most high God of heaven and earth, the creator, the father of all things to be. That's who we supposed to be worshiping. But he tried to make us worship this image, this idol. It says the princes, the governors, and the captains, the judges, the treasurers, counselors, sheriffs, and all the rulers of the provinces were gathered together unto the dedication of the image that Nebuchadnezzar the king has set up. So right now, what we doing, we just going over the spiritual wickedness in high places, which are the rulers of the darkness of this world. These are the spirits that they come with, where they try to make everybody conform to one way. And then we're going to go into how to defend yourself against that. How do you defend yourself against these type of things? It says, then an herald cry aloud to you, it is commanded, O people, nations, and languages, that at what time you hear the sound of the cornet flute, harp, sackbut, psaltery, dulcimer, and all kinds of music, you fall down and worship the golden image that Nebuchadnezzar the king has set up. So they said, when you hear this little song play, whatever, if I don't know if it was a flute or some type of, it told you all the stuff, the psaltery, the dulcimer, and all kind of music, right? Whatever was played, everybody was to bow down and worship this damn image. It says, and whoso falleth not down. So this is the point right here. Whoso falleth not down, whoever don't conform, whoever don't worship, shall the same hour be cast into the midst of the burning fiery furnace. So the Lord told us we not supposed to worship no graven images. So if you hear a spirit saying that, go against it, because we're not supposed to do that. That's against the laws, statutes, and commandments of the Most High God. Right? So they said whoever don't do it, they're going to get cast into the fire. They're going to die. So let's see what happened. It says, Salakia. I want to jump down to where, verse 12. So it says, there are certain Jews. So everybody end up doing it, but it said there are certain Jews. So the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, we are the real Jews. We are the real Israelites. According to the Bible, the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans are the real Israelites. You know, through prophecy, archaeology, history, it proves who we are, right? So it says, there are certain Jews whom thou hast set over the affairs of the province of Babylon, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. These men, O king, have not regarded thee. So they didn't care about his what he was telling everybody to do. It says they serve not thy gods. So we wasn't ever serving no other gods, right? We had to battle these spiritual things in high places, these powers that are to be, that's telling us to be Christian. They telling us to be Catholic. They telling us to you know, be whoever you want to be, and they teaching our children that stuff. And it's making the world get worse and worse and worse. And the Lord is showing us through history and you know, these accounts that are written, how we could stand up against these things. So it says, they serve not thy gods, nor worship the golden image which thou hast set up. Then Nebuchadnezzar in his rage and fury commanded to bring Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, then these men before the king. So eventually they try to set these men on fire. They put Daniel in the damn lion's den. Let's go to that real quick before we get to the point. Let's get Daniel chapter 6, and I'm gonna start at verse 10, and I'm gonna jump to 16. So this is the book of Daniel, chapter 6 and verse 10. Now when Daniel knew that the writing was signed, so now the king is trying to put Daniel to death. It's multiple times he tried to put Daniel to death, because Daniel never dealt with the wicked things that he set up. So the writing was signed. He went into his house, and his windows being open in his chamber toward Jerusalem. So the Most High God, he told us that we supposed to pray toward Jerusalem in the book of 1 Kings chapter 8 and verse 30. He told us whatever prayer or supplication is supposed to be done toward this place, which is Israel. 2 Chronicles 6 and 6, the Lord tells you that he set his name in Jerusalem, in Israel. He said he set his name there. So Daniel, he knew that the writing was signed for him to get sent into the lion's den. And what did he do? He kneeled on his knees with his face toward Jerusalem. And he cried out to the Most High God, putting on that spiritual armor that we spoke about, which is faith, which is truth, which is prayer, which is following the commandments. He put that on. And the Most High God guided his steps to where he wasn't overthrown by the heathen. It says, he kneeled upon his knees 3 times a day and prayed and gave thanks before his God as he did aforetime. Right? So now after he prayed and worshiped the Most High God, let's see what the wicked king Nebuchadnezzar tried to do. Then the king commanded, and they brought Daniel and cast him into the den of lions. Now the king spake and said unto Daniel, thy God whom thou servest continually, he will deliver thee. So let's see if this dude delivers you. Let's see if your God delivers you from this damn lion, this hungry lion. And a stone was brought and laid upon the mouth of the den. So it was no way for Daniel to get out this den and deliver himself from the lion. It says, and the king sealed it with his own signet and the signet of his lords, that the purpose might not be changed concerning Daniel. So he did it so out that his purpose was not changed. He wanted to make Daniel an example. And that's what they try to do here. They try to make Kyrie Irving an example. They try to make Kanye West an example. Every top celebrity or people set up in high places, like Daniel, he was set up in high places. He was popular. You know, he was one of those people at the top. And the king set him right under him. So a lot of these celebrities and these high top people in Israel that get a lot of money and they got big voices in the community, whenever they go against what society tells them to do, they get punished. And that's what's happening right here to Daniel. A lot of times they don't stand through the punishment. They end up folding. They like, you know what? I'll bow down to your image. I'll worship your God. I'll do whatever you say to do. But the Lord is telling us right here through these accounts that we're not supposed to do that. So it says that the purpose might not be changed concerning Daniel. Verse 18. Then the king went to his place and passed the night fasting. Neither were instruments of music brought before him, and his sleep went away from him. So he was tossing and turning like, dang, let's see if his God deliver him. Because I set up a God that everybody should bow to. Let's see if his God delivers him. Right? So look what happened. And when he came to the den, he cried with a lamentable voice unto Daniel. So he came, he seen Daniel, he cried out, damn, Daniel. And the king spake and said to Daniel, O Daniel, servant of the living God, is thy God whom thou servest continually able to deliver thee from the lions? He said, bro, the Lord God that you serve, the most high of heaven and earth, he was able to deliver you from this hungry lion. Why was that? Because Daniel put on his spiritual military garment, his armor, his helmet of salvation, and he fought with the word of the truth, and he was able to make it through that situation. And he had an army behind him. His army wasn't a physical army. His army was spiritual. It was the angels of the Lord that delivered him. Let's read and see that that's true. Then said Daniel unto the king, O king, live forever. My God have sent his angel and have shut the lion's mouth, that they might, Salakia, that they have not hurt me. So the angels of the Lord, that's our army. That's what we need to protect us. They gonna shut the mouth of these wicked things that try to come against us. They gonna shut it all down. You know, as long as we following the commandments, doing this work, basking our body in this truth and making our body a living sacrifice, the angels of the Most High God are going to encamp around us while we have this spiritual warfare going on. We in a spiritual war. We on the front line, and we got an army standing behind us, right? And it's not always physical, because Israel is a physical army, right? But we have the army of the Most High God, which are the angels that help us in battle. It says, his angel, and have shut the lion's mouth, that they have not hurt me. For as much as before him innocency was found in me, And also before thee, O king, have I done no hurt. So innocence from the Most High God and innocence in the sight of the king. He didn't really do nothing wrong. He's just following his laws, statutes, and commandments that the Lord set up. So the Most High God delivered him, you know. So if it's not of the Most High God, you can't overthrow it, right? You can't hurt the servants of the Lord if you're doing the commandment. Let me get 1 Chronicles 16 real quick. This is the book of 1 Chronicles chapter 16 and verse 22, saying, touch not my anointed. So the Lord, he gonna stop everybody from the spirits, the powers to be, or the powers that be. He gonna stop them from touching his anointed. You anointed if you following the commandments. Touch not my anointed and do my prophets no harm. They're not gonna harm you. They're not gonna touch you. The Lord won't let you be overthrown and make you look like a laughingstock in the sight of the heathen or in the sight of these evil demons or spirits if you're doing the law, statutes, and commandments. There's spirits always around us. We can't forget that. It's always spirits around us. Let me get the book of 1 Kings chapter 6 and verse 13 to prove that. There's always spirits around us that we don't see. This 2 Kings 6 and 13. And he said, go and spy where he is, that I may send and fetch him. And it was told him, saying, behold, he is in Dathan. So let's continue on. Therefore sent he thither horses, chariots, and a great host. And they came by night and compassed the city about. So this great host compassed the city about. Let's keep going. And when the servant of the man of God was risen early and gone forth, behold, an host compassed the city, both with horses and chariots. And his servant said unto him, alas, my master, how shall we do? So in the spirit, these chariots, these angels was compassing the city. He like, dang, how we gonna do this? So let's see what he said. And he said, he answered, fear not, for they that be with us are more than they that be with them. So he said the spirits in the army that's with us are more than they that be with them, because the Lord have thousands and thousands upon 20,000 times 1,000 angels. It says, and Elisha prayed and said, Lord, I pray thee, open his eyes that he may see. And the Lord opened the eyes of the young man, and he saw, and behold, the mountain was full of horses and chariots of fire round about Elisha. So he opened the young man's eyes, and he saw all the angels round about him to protect him. That army that the Lord sends around you when you follow in the commandments. There's always spirits around you. Let's get Psalm 91 and 11. Let me start at verse 10. It says, there shall no evil befall thee, neither shall any plague come nigh thy dwelling. For he shall give his angels charge over thee, to keep thee in all thy ways. So as long as you got this spiritual armor on, you keep your head in this fight, and you following the commandments, you putting on faith, you putting on the shoes of the gospel of peace, the helmet of salvation, and you fighting with the sword of the spirit, which is the word of God, according to Ephesians 6 and 17. The Lord is going to send that army to back you up, which is the angels, right? That's how you back yourself up from voodoo, from people wishing harm and praying harm against you and trying to curse you, you know. Or if it's the powers that be, if you following these commandments, the Lord won't let you be overthrown, you know. Let's get the book of Sirach chapter 39 and verse 28, because there's not always good spirits around people. There's not always a good spirit around you. Let me get that. This is the book of Sirach chapter 39. I want 39 and verse 28. And it says, there be spirits that are created for vengeance. So there is a such thing as voodoo, you know, dark magic, dark spirits, evil angels. That stuff is true. It's in the Bible. The Lord talks about that stuff. Those things are real. There are evil spirits around as well, right? And the dark evil spirits are fighting with the angels that the Lord set up behind you in this fight. And if you follow in the commandments, the more you follow the commandments, the stronger your battle is. The stronger those angels are able to protect you, or the more those angels are able to protect you in the spirit. So it says, there be spirits that are created for vengeance, which in their fury lay on sore strokes. So when these spirits are mad, they lay on sore strokes. In the time of destruction, they pour out their force and appease the wrath of him that made them. So when you make the Most High God mad at you, those evil spirits, they come after you. And if the angels that are encamping round about you ain't strong enough because you in sin, you're going to be overthrown. You will be overthrown. So you have to stay prayed up, stay fasting, stay following the commandments. And that's how you're going to overcome in the end. It says fire. So these spirits cause fire and hail and famine and death. All these were created for vengeance. Teeth of wild beasts. So when you see people on a safari trip and they get devoured and yanked out the damn car by a lion, that's a spirit that's created for vengeance. That's an evil spirit that got into that lion to make you get overthrown. It says, and scorpions, serpents, and the sword punishing the wicked to destruction. They punish these wicked people to destruction. So you have to make sure you stay disciplined and you stay on point so that these evil spirits don't overthrow you. Let me get the book of Psalm chapter 34 and verse 7. It says the angel, Psalm 34 and 7. The angel of the Lord encampeth round about them that fear him and delivereth them. So if you ever want to be delivered from these evil spirits, you got to fear the Most High God. Have fear for the Lord and follow his commandments. The fear of the Lord is keeping the commandments. You got to keep his commandments. You got to hate evil. Hate evil. Right? The angels of the Lord, they encamp and they guard around you, right? Just like when you in the army, you got your platoon or the brother, your troops that's around you. You know, you got the sergeant, you know, the captain, and then you got the lieutenants and all these other people around you, or however I don't know the terminology, but you know, you got all these people around you and they all got their different purposes. Let's get the book of 2nd Maccabees real quick. I want 2nd Maccabees chapter 11 and verse Salakia. 2nd Maccabees chapter 11. And I'm going to start at verse 6 and I'm going to read to 10. It says, now, when they that were with Maccabeus heard that he besieged the holds. So remember, the Maccabee brothers, you know, or the Maccabees, Salakia, they were a very strong militant power at their time. You know, during their time, they was very strong. Guerrilla warfare, fighting, armies. You know, they were good at overthrowing things, overthrowing strongholds, and you know, just overthrowing the heathen in all aspects, because they were strong with the Most High God. They didn't let what the heathen say overthrow their judgment and make them fall into sin, but they followed the commandments of the Lord, and the Lord put it in their hand to overcome. So it says, now they that were with Maccabeus heard that he had besieged the holds, and all Salakia, they and all the people with lamentation and tears besought the Lord. So they went and cried after the Most High God, praying that he will send a good angel to deliver Israel. So it wasn't just in a physical, but we also wanted that spiritual battle. We want them good angels that encamp round about us to destroy the wicked angels and spirits of vengeance. That's what we want. It says that the Lord, Salakia, that the Lord will send a good angel to deliver Israel. Then Maccabeus himself, first of all, took weapons, exhorting the others that they would jeopard themselves together with him. So they had faith. And they was like, you know what? We prayed to the Lord. Now we're going to put our lives in jeopardy and hope and have faith that the Most High God is going to deliver us. And the Lord did. He didn't let our people get overthrown like that. It says, with him to help their brethren. So they went forth together with a willing mind. So you got to be willing in this fight, in this spiritual battle. You got to be willing. You can't come to the Sabbath like, man, I don't really want to read. I don't really want to teach. I don't want to be in the spirit. I just want to come because it's a commandment. I'm forced to do it. The Lord, he commanded us to do it. I'm in this damn covenant that I didn't want to be in. You can't come to this truth like that. You got to come with a willing mind. It says, and as they were at Jerusalem, there appeared before them on horseback and one in white clothing, shaking his armor of gold. So the chariot came, the angel came, and he was showing himself in glory. Then they praised the merciful God altogether and took heart in so much that they were ready not only to fight with men, but with the most cruel beasts. So when they seen that the Lord helping them in this fight, they was charged up, fully charged up. And they like, man. So they was ready to fight against the most cruel beasts and to pierce through walls of iron. They like, man, we'll break through metal. We breaking lions' jaws, and they was ready to do all that. It says, thus they marched forward in their armor, having an helper from heaven, for the Lord was merciful unto them. So the Lord is always going to be merciful unto you if you following his laws, his statutes, and his commandments. Let me get the book of Proverbs chapter 16 real quick in verse 9. Because I want to show you, when you're doing these things, the Lord is going to direct your steps, just like he says in Psalm. His angels going to keep charge over thee. It says, a man's heart deviseth his way. So Maccabeus, his heart devised to go into battle. But the Lord directed his steps. And not just for him, but spiritually for us. When we in this truth and following these commandments, our heart is devising our way, but the Lord is going to be directing our steps. He's going to be putting us through those things that we need to go through to strengthen us up and spiritually be ready for these battles, so that we don't fall away and get sifted out the truth by these evil angels or these wicked spirits, by atoning for these sins that we committing, or because of the sins that we committing. We repenting and the Lord is guiding our steps. Salakia. Let me get chapter 20 and verse 24 real quick. I want chapter 20 and verse 24. It says, man's goings are of the Lord. So a man's goings are of the Lord, of the Most High God. How can a man then understand his own way? So you never understand really your own way. All your goings are of the Most High God. You don't really understand your own way. Let me get the book of Wisdom of Solomon real quick. This is like one of the main things that you got to do for these spiritual battles. I want Wisdom of Solomon chapter 1. This is one of the chapters I like going to, to remind myself. I'm gonna start at verse 2. It says, Wisdom of Solomon chapter 1 and verse 2. For he will be found of them that tempt him not. So if you're not tempting the Most High God by following the commandments, the Lord and his angels are going to be around you. It says, and showeth himself unto such as do not distrust him. Salakia. So it says, for forward thoughts separate from God. So if you thinking evil thoughts, you thinking wicked and evil things and doing wicked and evil things, it's going to separate you from the Most High God. It says, and his power. So his power is that protection from the angels. Because remember, what does Israel mean? You're a prince that have power with God. You're a kingdom that have power with the Most High God. A kingdom of priests. So if you're not tempting the Most High God and you're not distrusting in him, he's not going to separate you from his power, which is his protection. So it says, and his power, when it is tried, reproveth the unwise. It says, for into a malicious soul, wisdom shall not enter. So the wisdom of the Lord is not going to enter into you, right? The understanding of how you going to fight, this technique, the understanding of that, it's not going to even enter into you or dwell in the body that is subject to sin. If you in sin, is not even, the Lord not even going to deal with you if you in sin. So that's what we got to stop. We got to follow the commandments of the Lord. Remember what Yahushua said in the book of Matthew. If you want to make it to the kingdom, you got to keep the commandments. We're going to go to that later. All right, let me get the book of Zechariah real quick. Chapter 3 and verse 1. It says, he showed me Joshua the high priest standing before the angel of the Lord, and Satan standing at his right hand. So it's the angels and it's the evil spirits. One on one side and one on the other side. It says standing at his right hand to resist him. And the Lord said unto Satan, the Lord rebuke thee, O Satan. So that's what's happening in the spirit when you following his commandments and not falling short to sin. You staying prayed up. You fasting. The Lord is rebuking these evil spirits with his angels. And you fighting this spiritual battle with the helmet, you know, your feet shod with the gospel of peace, and you using these commandments like Yahushua did. When Satan tested Yahushua in the mountain in Luke chapter 4, what'd he do? He rebuked him and he called the precepts, and he went into the scriptures to rebuke Satan. Satan told him to do this. He said, nah, the Lord said right here that you ain't supposed to do that. You got to do this. You're not supposed to tempt the Most High God. You know, you ain't supposed to have no other God before him. That's what you got to do. And the Lord is going to rebuke Satan. So it said, the Lord rebuked thee, O Satan. Even the Lord that have chosen Jerusalem rebuked thee. Is not this a brand plucked out of the fire? So the Lord going to take you out of that fire. The Lord going to take you out of that destruction that you in. That temptation that's holding you down. If you following his laws. Right? Let me get the book of Matthew. Let me get Matthew 16 and get what I was saying I was going to get. All right, this is the book of Matthew, Salakia. This is the book of Matthew, chapter 19 and verse 16. And behold, one came and said unto him, Good master, what good thing shall I do that I may have eternal life? So this person came and he asked Yahushua, what do I got to do so that I could obtain eternal life? What could I do? And he said unto him, Why callest thou me good? There is none good but one, and that is the Most High Yahweh. But if thou will enter into life, keep the commandments. You got to keep the commandments if you want to enter into life. And you're going to be protected all the days of your life. You got to keep the commandments. So now let's go to the book of Luke, and let's go into where Yahushua was tempted. It's the book of Luke, chapter 4. In verse 7, it says, If thou therefore will worship me, all shall be thine. So this is Satan tempting the Son of Man, saying, if you worship me, I'll give you all this stuff. Everything is going to be yours. You don't got to worry about nothing if you worship me. And Yahushua answered and said unto him, Get thee behind me, Satan, for it is written, Thou shalt worship the Lord thy God, and him only shalt thou serve. So he cut him with a precept. He went into the scriptures and he figured out why you shouldn't be doing that. And that cut Satan in the spirit. And that was the way he was able to overcome. He was tempted for 40 days in the wilderness, and all the sins and all the things that he was being tempted with vanished, you know, because he knew the scriptures and he was following the commandments. He was fasting. He was praying. Right? Let's get that. This is the book of Matthew, Salakia. Matthew chapter 17 and verse 20. It says, And Jesus said unto them, Because of your unbelief, for verily I say unto you, if you have faith as a grain of mustard seed, ye shall say unto this mountain, Remove hence to yonder place, and it shall remove. So he's saying, if you got faith, you almost could do anything through the power of the Most High God if you want to do it, you know. So he says, Howbeit this kind goeth not out but by prayer and fasting. So by prayer and fasting is where you get that type of faith. You don't get that faith by nothing else but by prayer and fasting. That's another way you could put this spiritual armor on and battle Satan, battle these wicked powers of high places. Figure out what you got to do. You might fast and the Lord might give you a vision, or he might give you a revelation of something that you got to do, and it might help you overcome. This book is strong. It's powerful. It's deeper than what we look at it as. It's deeper than just words in a book. These things are spiritual. You know, once you keep the Most High God's commandments, you could do anything. Let me get the last precept and close it out. This is the book of Philippians, chapter 4 and verse 13. It says, I can do all things through Christ, which strengtheneth me. So Overall, the whole moral of the story, you got to keep the commandments, and you could do all things through, in the name of the Most High, through Yahweh Shai, which strengthens you, you know. I think I want one more scripture, actually. I think I want one scripture. Salakia. So this the book. I think I want. Let me go to Deuteronomy, actually. I'm gonna go to the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 12. Now, let me go to Ecclesiastes, actually. It says, let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. So you following God's commandments, that's the whole duty of man. That's what you literally have to do. If you want to be saved in the end, you got to keep the commandments of the Most High God, and you will be saved. You will be protected in the spirit. You know, your path is going to be guided into the right direction if you following his commandments. Everything boils down to that. The whole duty of man, the whole reason the Lord gave us these rules is so that we could keep them. And it'll give peace on the earth. It'll make you dwell peacefully amongst your brethren. The Lord literally shows you in the commandments how to dwell peacefully amongst your people, you know, and give righteous judgment, and how to follow him wholeheartedly, you know, with a sound mind and a sound body. You know, he tell you what to eat so that you can have the healthiest body. So for people to say that the laws, statutes, and commandments are done away with is wicked. You know, with that being said, I want to give all praises to the Most High, Yahweh, through Yahweh Shai, Kwam Yashala.